Everyone, welcome to Friends of the Library's third Q&A forum, which is one segment of a 5-part series so citizens can meet the candidates and ask questions in a respectful environment. FOL is a nonprofit 501c3 organization, is nonpartisan, and does not endorse or support any candidate. Welcome, Caroline Emmert and Alison Cline, City Council Position 4 candidates, and thank you for participating in our forum today. Thank you to North Beach TV and their team of volunteers for providing live coverage of the forum, which can be watched on Channel 68. Also, they will be scheduling dates for viewers to watch or rewatch the coverage over the next couple weeks. When these forums were proposed, all of the candidates accepted the opportunity to participate. Unfortunately, at this point, 3 candidates have since declined. Participation of both candidates for a position is required for live broadcast, which is why we are seeing North Beach TV covering this particular forum and not seeing them covering others. Each week, a committee has evaluated the completed forums and made minor adjustments to the format to make the forums an informative, positive experience for Ocean Shores citizens and a fair and balanced opportunity for the candidates. Any adjustments have been shared with the candidates, and they have agreed to the revised format from what we originally discussed with them. Today's format will be divided into 3 parts. Each candidate will be allowed to speak for 15 minutes maximum about whatever they wish to share with you. The Q&A period will begin and last a maximum of 45 minutes. Each candidate will be asked the same question, alternating between who answers it first, and we encourage them to be concise while answering the question. The last segment will be 3 minutes for each candidate to make final remarks. This will end the formal portion of the forum, then allowing you time to visit with the candidates afterwards. When you came into the community room today, you were handed cards by our volunteers to write down questions you have for the candidates. Has everyone had time to write your questions? Does anyone need more time? Please pass your questions to the end of your row so they can be collected by FOL volunteers. Go ahead, start please. That's questions? End of the row, please. Okay, great. Thank you. If we have multiple questions on the same topic, I will be condensing them to a single question for the candidates to answer. This is intended so you will not be hearing the same question multiple times and for people that are uncomfortable speaking in public. If I do not ask your question exactly as you intended, after final remarks, the candidates will be staying so you can talk with them individually. Finally, please silence your phones. Everyone. We've got ours turned off. And please refrain from talking while a candidate is answering a question out of respect to the candidate and your fellow citizens. Anyone disregarding our request will be asked to leave. Now, the candidates will be drawing a numbered piece of paper from the basket, determining who starts this wonderful forum today. The candidate drawing the highest number will go first. Are we ready? I think that's a wonderful idea. All right. You ready? All right. Oh, yeah, I'll take that one. All right. What numbers do we have?
4.
And 7.
That's a French song.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I wanted no questions about, is it a 1? Is it a 2? Is it?
Goes back to high school days.
It does. So, Allison, I'm going to hand the mic off to you now, and you'll be starting with your first 15 minutes.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for coming out today. This is forum number 4 for us, and for those of you that have been at all of them, thank you. Those of you that are here for the first time today, thank you. I do want to clear up a couple things. You will see my hands shake. I have a condition that causes tremors, so I am not terrified as I had heard in the past, and I am not over-caffeinated. I stopped at 3 cups. So, a little bit about me. I moved here. I was born and raised in North Carolina, so you probably hear a little bit of an accent. And when I get really tired, then it's really strong. My husband and I moved here to Washington in 1989 from Atlanta, Georgia. He was working for Boeing. We lived up in the area of Everett and Lake Stevens, where we purchased a home. Then in '96, we started coming here with friends who had a house, and we fell in love with it. And we knew we wanted to retire here. And so we purchased a home in 2007, and we're part-time residents because with working in education, I was able to come down in summers. We also were here for all the holidays and pretty much every weekend, or at least every other weekend. And then in 2015, we made the permanent move. And I have been in education for, this is year 28. I work in Hoke Williams School District right now as a whole child coach. And I know there had been comments about, I'm too busy to be on council, but I do have time with my new position. I'm an 8 to 3:30 person. I have no more after-school meetings, no long reports to write. But I've also, always been able to manage all of that together. I have been a volunteer in the city with tons of events that go on, and I coordinate volunteers, and I see a lot of volunteers here, and thank you very much. We appreciate it. I have been on council since January of 22 when John was appointed mayor. I took over his seat on council. And we've done a lot of good. The debt has been reduced by over $30 million in the last few years. The lid has been paid down from over $13 million to $2 million or less. We have the High Dunes Trail, which I am so excited for it to open. I can't wait. And we've done Oyhut Ditch. We are working on the waterways. We are working on the infrastructure and getting our downtown corridor in better shape. Looking at the equipment, replacing equipment that had not been replaced in, years and years. I don't want to throw an exact number out there because I could be wrong, but I know a very long time when I toured the facilities and saw equipment being held together by duct tape. Duct tape is great, but it's not what our city workers need. And so, I love being part of council. I love talking to people in the community. Your voices, we do listen to. All of us do. And it's not just what we want. We listen, we make our decisions based on information that we get from community members. And so being able to listen to you and see, there are a lot of hot topics. Camping is a hot topic, and I hear both sides of it. But for us as council members, regardless of who it is on council, it is our job to listen to everyone, put that information together, and make a decision. And so that is what I hope to do. I love the city. I love working for the people of Ocean Shores because that's who we work for on council. We work for you. And I want to continue to do that. So I know it's not 15 minutes, but there you go.
Let's hold our applause until the very end for the ladies so we can just keep moving along. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. as Joann stated, I am Caroline Emmert, and yes, I am fairly new to Ocean Shores. I was actually born in California, and when I was 14, my parents moved us up to Spokane, where a foot of snow fell, and I went, what do you mean I got to go to school? So I went to school in the snow. And since then, I have predominantly lived in Washington State. It is my home. We moved in 2004 over to Indiana due to my new job. And by we, I mean my husband and I, we've been married 47 years. And we moved to Indiana, and we were there for 10 years. And the company that I worked for said, you know what? We agree. You can move back to your home state of Washington and take your job with you. So for the last 7 years of my career with them, I worked out of my home in Battleground. And many years ago, my husband and I came to visit Ocean Shores, and it didn't seem like the place where we'd want to come back to at the time. But I mean, it was like 35 years ago. And in 2019, my daughter invited me to come for the weekend to stay with a friend. And I thought, free weekend at the beach, why not? And once I got here, between then and August, I'm like, you know what? That's where I want to retire. Forget Lincoln City. I want to retire in my home state of Washington, and I like the whole idea of the beach and the people I've met, because my husband and I did come back and stay and visit. And so in October of 2019, he and I came up here and we toured properties, and we bought a lot down on Ocean Shores Boulevard, intending to build our home there. Well, we all know what happened in 2020, and all the factories shut down and prices went sky high, and the manufactured home dealer that we were working with ordered a 68-foot home for an 85-foot space, and anybody who knows in this city that that's not going to fly. And by August, we were getting a phone call from Nettie here in the permit office, and she said, we're not going to allow this. And so I went back to the manufactured home dealer and said, you know, I've been telling you it's not going to fit, and you've been telling me it is, and now the permit office is saying it's not going to fit. We want our money back. We had given them at that point $42,000. They were promising us initially that it would take 4 to 6 months. By the time it got to August, they were actually saying, no, it's going to take 18 months to get you your home. I was retiring in December. We no longer had 18 months to wait. So we did get our money back. We came here in November and started looking at houses already built and found the one we did buy, and we moved into. I was hoping to be here for New Year's Eve. The December snow took care of that and moved us into January. So we moved in. I have met a lot of wonderful people since then, and everybody has been very nice. Everybody is, what do you say beside very nice? They seem to get along. Through my interactions with people, I discovered that some were maybe not happy with how the city was run. So I thought, you know what? I think it's time that I step up and take a look and maybe run for an office and bring my background of a research analyst and a specialist into the city and see what I can do to make sure the budget is handled properly and make sure that your taxpayer dollars are spent wisely, and make sure that the codes that we have put in place are appropriate to today's lifestyles and families and people who live here, and that they're enforced. So as I said, my husband and I have been married 47 years, and we do love it here. We love this community, and I just want to be a part of making it good, making it still a nice place to live, keeping it a nice place to live with nice people. And that's it.
No applause. I'm going to be really tough today, so thank you very much also for not talking during this. This is really important that we are able to hear everything and we're not distracted by other people. Okay, Allison, you started first. You get the first question. Okay. And there are a couple questions about this subject. And it's like, which one am I going to pick? Okay. If you are elected to the city council, what do you think is your most important role?
The most important role for a member of city council is to listen to the people who live here. That is our top priority. Listen to the people, look at what our ordinances are and how they can be enforced, to look at the things that we're facing, such things as the erosion, the waterways, sidewalks. Look at the different topics, listen to the people, work with our city staff, work with the mayor, and do what's best for the city and to move it forward. And that is what council needs to do. And if I am elected, then, and that is what I will continue to do. What I have already been doing is listening to people. And does everybody agree on everything? No. I mean, I use the camping example a lot because that has been a hot topic since we decided to buy a house instead of a lot because we knew we could only camp for 90 days. Does everybody agree on that? No. But our job as council, regardless of what the issue is to listen to all people, get our information, do our research, and make a decision. And that is what I will continue to do.
I don't think so. I think I'm good. Let's be a time saver. Yes, a city council should be open to the ideas and questions and concerns of the citizenry because those are the people, you are the people who are paying the bills, paying the salaries, paying your taxes to ensure that you have a nice city to live in that is safe for people. That's like one of the top concerns of people that I have talked to is safety and security and making sure that the codes are enforced and enforced appropriately, and that your tax dollars, the budget that is developed and approved by the city council is appropriate to the needs of the citizens. Yes, sidewalks are a hot topic right now. Camping is a hot topic right now because the people who camp don't necessarily have a voice here in the city, so they don't feel that they're heard. But that's not the case. They are heard. Everybody who has an opinion on the 90-day rule, the 120-day maybe extension, I'm open to the city council exploring that and talking about it and making a decision that is going to benefit the majority of everybody who has a stake in it. And that includes people who own a camping lot. What I've heard from citizens is that, okay, yeah, there are a few that do noisy things till 2 a.m, so there needs to be a mechanism for putting a stop to that kind of behavior. But most of the people who come here to camp, they are respectful. They do their best to keep their property up when they're not here. They hire people, local people, to keep the grass cut or to clear the weeds and keep it clear so that when they get here, they don't have to spend the first week of their time here cleaning up their lot. So that is something that's important to me. It's very important to me that you people understand, you people, my citizens, the people of Ocean Shores, understand I have an open door. I'm accessible. I'm going to be there to take your phone call, to listen to you. I don't have a full-time job or a part-time job. I am retired, and I'm fully vested in ensuring that your concerns are heard and taken to the council and to the mayor, and we address them and take care of them appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. What ideas do you have for dealing with city animosities? And Carolyn, because you answered last, you get to first this time.
Sadly, there has been a lot of division in this city, and I have experienced it firsthand through my campaign. I have learned since June and July that running for public office is a lot like getting an interview with this company that you just are so excited about and really looking forward to working for this company, and you get to your interview and you find out that every single employee in that company has an opportunity to ask you questions. It can be pretty daunting. And how would you like that if you went to a company and found out that's how they handled their interviews? But that's how this process has been. And there are people who have been more than assertive. They've been aggressive. And it's not a large group, but it's enough that it's divisive. And we need to stop doing that. We need to stop the Facebook road warriors who put it on Facebook but won't come and say it to your face or say it in a public forum. We need to be civil. We have been civil to each other through this whole campaign. We have been respectful to everybody who has approached us with questions. That is just how I operate. I want to see justice and liberty for everybody. I want everybody's rights and freedoms protected and guaranteed like our Constitution and our Bill of Rights says. And I don't appreciate it when people try to circumvent that and take away from the democratic process of allowing people to have their voice and not bring topics that don't apply, don't belong in the forum. Just be civil, people. Just be kind to your neighbor. Be kind to your candidates. We both have the same goal. We want to serve you to the best of our ability. I want to bring my best skills and experiences and resources to serve you in the best way that I can. And all of you being respectful back to us and to me, that would go a long way towards stopping the adversity that has sprung up in our community.
Ditto. Yeah. I agree with everything she has said. The Facebook, I hate Facebook. What is going on Facebook is heartbreaking. The untruths, the accusations, the nasty things being said. And we have both. I mean, we have the utmost respect for each other. But yet people do not for us. And it's very obvious. I mean, my husband finally took my phone away from me and said, stop reading. I don't post, because if I post, I get a phone call saying, you like something on Facebook. Why did you like that? So sports and animals, that's what I stick to. They're both safe. And it is sad that we have become in this town divided. And we need to work together. We can't move forward if we don't work together. We have to. And your voices are important. But attacking other people verbally and making fun of people is not okay. And it really makes me sad to see that. Because when I look at things that go on in Ocean Shores and people coming together and having a great time and everything being positive, and then I look at what has gone on in this election. And it's really kind of heartbreaking. Yes, I did get up and I walked out the other night because I sat and watched people laughing and pointing at me and making comments and rolling their eyes to a point I could not take it anymore, and comments that were made about me that they didn't think I heard before the thing even started. And I apologized to Caroline for that because I have the utmost respect for her, but it just got the best of me. And yes, I saw the comments that, if I'm going to go ballistic, I should not be on council. And everybody is entitled to your opinion, and you all have them. But you don't know what I was seeing from that podium. And so that is a prime example of how this community needs to come together. Is everybody going to vote for me? No. Is everybody going to vote for Caroline? No. Is everybody going to vote for one candidate? No. That's why we have elections. But the people that are running, the people that are putting themselves out there need to be respected and need to be treated with decency. And this community has got to come together and work together to move us forward.
Next question. We're doing great. Thank you. This one is on the tsunami towers that has been one of the subjects here in town. And I think you start first this time. It is your turn. What is your position on having tsunami towers in Ocean Shores? And are they going to really benefit all of the citizens if we have a tsunami at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning? Tough question.
Well, tsunami towers, there is a lot of controversy about it. And, there are people who are for it, people against it. It's when the talk started about building tsunami towers, it's not we're going to build one tsunami tower for the city of Ocean Shores and all 7,000 people will fit on it. When the state came out with the information, it was building a series of up to, and I could be wrong on the number, up to 20 along the coastline. And I think they can be beneficial. Let's hope we never in our lifetime have to experience it. But we all know we're not going to be able to get on the road and get out of town. And so I am in support. We got the grant. I am not in favor of raising taxes to finish it. If it's something we have to let go of, it's something we have to let go of. If we are able to secure more funding to be able to do it. But it is a series of towers. It is not just one tower for the whole city of Ocean Shores. And there's, I think, been some misunderstanding on that. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And starting with one, I think is a good idea.
I recall in a meeting that was talking about the tsunami towers, and in some of the literature that was handed out, there was within the plan for Ocean Shores, and I don't recall if it was 2028, there was in the plan, a long-term plan, to have a multitude of tsunami towers so that if the awful thing happened, the majority of people could maybe get to them. My concern is when you have a lot of people trying to evacuate even to a tsunami tower, how much advance warning will we have that this is even going to happen? If an earthquake happens out in the middle of the ocean and they know a tsunami is coming and we've got 4 hours to get out, we don't have any emergency plan even in place that tells people how to do this. We need to set up some kind of a emergency plan that people can practice and get ready for. When I was a kid, and it was silly when I look back now, we used to have the duck cover and hide under your desk for the bombs are going to fall. But we practiced it so that we knew when the time came, we would know what to do, and we would just automatically do it. And the more you practice something or contemplate even doing it in your mind, the more likely you are going to be able to do it more orderly than if we don't have an emergency plan in place for the whole citizenry or everybody, campers or whoever happens to be here at the time, to know what's expected of them, where they're supposed to go, which tower is theirs, or is it safer for them to climb a ladder and get on the roof of their two-story shed, or whatever the plan may be. We've got to develop as a city council, as a citizenry, a workable plan so that people know what to do first of all before we set up the towers, because people are going to panic. They're going to freak out. Oh, the tsunami's coming. They're going to try to run out of town. We know there's one way in and out of this city. And we can't jam up the road and have people panicking and dying and whatnot because they're heart attacks. So my view is let's do the plan and look at ways to orderly set up, know where we want to put these towers first of all, and set up a plan of action for getting them funded without putting lids on people, without taxing them higher. I think tsunami towers have their place, but we need an emergency plan of action and to practice that so people know what to do before we get there.
Business development. What are some ways you would encourage a diverse employment pool here in Ocean Shores?
Yeah, I see at this point in time a good portion of the employment opportunities in town, they're in the service industry. You can work in a hotel. You can work in a small mom and pop shop that somebody owns and leases the space from usually an out-of-town landlord. Restaurants. There aren't really a whole lot of viable career stepping opportunities here, and I'm not sure that even a light industry would be possible. A good portion of our economy is driven by the RV people, the camping people who come here and spend a good amount of time and spend a fair amount of money, and the tourists who come into town come to our beaches, they go to our restaurants, they shop in our small shops. It was suggested by somebody, there is fiber optic cable that the Quinaults are putting in for their area, and it was suggested that perhaps Ocean Shores could partner with that and become part of that to beef up our internet, beef up our infrastructure as far as that goes, and maybe bring in some type of high-tech industry that would interest the younger people and give them a career path. They could work from an office, they could work from home, and that might encourage them to stay in this town where they grew up. I thought that was a really good suggestion, and I appreciate it when people offer ideas to me that are like that, because we don't have all the answers. I see struggling businesses here. I know that through the wintertime, some of them barely make their lease. How are they feeding their families through the winter? It's hard. So let's come up with some ideas for more fun things going on through the winter to encourage more people to come and visit Ocean Shores so that the wintertime, they don't rely on the locals to try to keep their business going, or they don't have to shut down completely through the winter. And I also see a Chamber of Commerce local to our city a chamber of commerce can be set up such that it serves at the pleasure of the city council, but it's separate from the city council. And I think we could do that, and I think a chamber would advertise Ocean Shores as a great place to bring your business. I don't know what else I can say about that. There are opportunities. We just need to let people out there know that this is a great place to come and live, and bring your business. Bring your business here, and we'll support you.
One of the things that, we rely a lot on our part-time residents and our tourists. The convention center brings in a lot. I mean, I talked with George because this has been a thing I've been hearing a lot about. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk to the general manager and find out how much the convention center is used. So I called George. And between October 1 of this year and September 30th of next year, there are only 76 days that the convention center is not booked. A lot of people, when we think about the convention center, we think, oh, Sand and Sawdust, Celtic Festival, Razor Clam Festival. They don't think about all the private events that go on there. There are private events that go on there that bring in 700 to 1,000 people. And so, I mean, we are looking at 76 days, and it's not even October yet. The convention center stays booked because you have to think about they have to be staffed on days when festivals are coming in or the art, Winter Fantasy. They will be there, the staff will be there working on Thanksgiving Day so that people are able to set up for the weekend event. Those bring in people. But we also have to look at what are other things that we can bring in for business. The technology idea, I spoke with someone about that when they were interviewing all the candidates, and it was an idea they had that Caroline was talking about and I talked about on Wednesday night. Getting technology businesses here is a great idea. We have a group putting together a small business association, working with that. Marketing, there is a lot of marketing. If you've ever gone online and looked at the different sites about Ocean Shores, there is a ton of information. And getting that marketing and getting that out there to attract those businesses to come here. Will we ever get a huge business that decides they want to be in Ocean Shores? I would love to see that, but reality is I don't know that that would ever happen. But we can still bring in other businesses.
Well, they just partially answered the next question on my list. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask them a little bit more about the convention center, because that has been a real topic in this community over the years. How would you like to see the convention center be used 365 days a year instead of only 200 and some odd?
Well, if we're going to be open 365 days a year, we better hire some more staff. Because George, Nikki, and Greg can't do it all 365 days a year. I know George would love to see something going on there every day of the year. And he has been working really hard to try and make that happen. We're talking about, there is talk that we may be extending some of the events that go on now, extending Hog Wild, and I think that would be a lot of fun. But continue the marketing that they're doing, reaching out to groups who used to have events there that during COVID quit doing events, and talking with those people about trying to get those events going again and bringing them back. I've tried talking to the group that did the Seahawks Festival to try and get them to come back. So I have friends that were in that group that arranged that, and I'm still working on them trying to make that happen again, fingers crossed. So, just to continue promoting it, to reaching out to organizations, and like I said, George would love to have something there 365 days a year, but in order to do that, we are going to have the staff.
I definitely agree. We would need more people to work it if we want to run it 365. I don't know of any convention center or venue in any city that is fully booked all year round every day. I think that's kind of an unreasonable expectation to even have. And I need to clarify something I said at a previous forum about the convention center. When I looked on our website and I was looking at the events that are posted to our website for the convention center, it listed 6 or 7 events from September to the end of the year. And I thought, is that all we have going on? No, I did not look at the specific calendar. And somebody shared the calendar and I went, thank you. I appreciate that. I looked at the calendar. Yes, there are private events that are taking place that people don't know about because it's a private event. The furries were in town. The furries weren't listed on the website as an event. What I would like to see when we do have an event and we have vendors coming to town is much more marketing to get much more participation of vendors. Because I've been in this big, beautiful space that we have here, and only this part is used and half full. Well, why would that be? We need to somehow encourage vendors to come to the city and fill our space. It's a beautiful space. It's a beautiful facility. And to have it half full of vendors and only using one side of it, that's kind of sad. So I would like to see that take place. I think that would bring in additional revenue for the convention center, and it would make the events more fun. And I do know that some of the events are bigger and they're outside, of course, the sand and sawdust. You don't want to take that indoors. The outdoor things are pretty well attended, but it's the vendors who really pay the bill. It's the vendors who are paying for the renting their space to bring their items in, to share with you and the tourists and other people who are here wanting to have fun and an enjoyable event. And that's what makes it an enjoyable event, when you have a lot of things to look at, a lot of things to shop through.
You guys are doing great. We're just moving right along. Next question is a follow-up for hiring more staff at the convention center. Housing. Housing is an issue in this community. And what can we do as a city to encourage more housing options for all income levels of residents?
Wow, that's something that every community is struggling with. Affordable housing. That's the subject everybody is talking about everywhere I go. It's not just here. Yes, it's expensive to live here. It got expensive to buy our home. We spent about $200,000 more on our home than I originally planned pre-COVID. Things have gotten so high, and it's not just the housing costs, it's the lease costs for these businesses. These businesses pay a lot of money to lease their spaces. And so for them to hire people, they have to pay, I think the minimum wage in Washington State is now upwards of $16 an hour. So they're struggling to make their payroll. They're struggling to pay their own mortgage or rent. And so far, no one, legislative or political or anywhere, has come up with any kind of solution except, let's throw some money at it. Let's throw some money at it. Oh, well, let's take taxpayer money and build some low-income houses or homeless housing. And I don't see taxing all of you to solve this problem. But there again, we can come together as a community And we have ideas. You have ideas. Somebody out there has experience and knowledge and a background in this, and they can come forward and say, how about we try this? What do you think about this idea? And see if we can solve it that way. Rent is outrageous here and everywhere. I can't believe how much, and I don't know whether they have a high mortgage and they're trying to cover their mortgage on their property, or if they're just the kind of person, I'm going to see if I can make all the money I possibly can so I don't pay my own mortgage on my house. I don't know. All I know is that in the last few years, this housing cost of rent and a mortgage, and now we're seeing the interest rates going up over 7% for somebody to even buy a house. And when you own a house, we're buying our house and we're paying interest on that house. And not long ago, we could combine our interest and property taxes, and we could write those to lower our federal tax bill. The standard deduction was increased to such a point that that's no longer, it's not even an advantage to own your home. They're disincentivizing people to even own their own home because the standard deduction became higher than all of our combined charitable contributions and everything else, so we can no longer itemize. That hurts homeowners. That disincentivizes them. So yeah, we have a huge problem in our community and across this state for affordable housing. How do we solve it? I'm putting the question to you folks. You tell us your ideas. How do we solve this?
Yeah, Ocean Shores, just like everywhere else, has the cost of living or cost of housing just keeps increasing and increasing and increasing. And I mean, I know my daughter and her husband are looking at moving to another state because they can't afford to buy a house in Washington. So they're in Florida right now looking at property. So when I retire, I have my place to, spend winters. So, and then they said, well, maybe North Dakota. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to North Dakota in the wintertime. But it is a huge problem nationwide. And for people to be able to afford to live here, we don't have a lot of rental properties here. We don't have very much low-income housing, and it may be something we need to look at and see what can we do. I don't have the answer because costs keep going up. I know when we first bought our house and in Lake Stevens, and like Caroline was saying, you could deduct this interest and that and that and that, and now you can barely deduct anything. I know as a teacher, I used to be able to deduct like $1,000 a year of what I spent out of pocket. I still spend the same amount of money out of pocket, but I can deduct $140. And it's getting that way, and it's like Caroline said, it's getting to where it doesn't benefit anybody to be a homeowner. And what those solutions are things that we are going to have to lobby for, not, at state and national level. Because for us, we are not able as a city to just build housing. And so I think it's something we're going to have to look at other ideas and lobbying at the state and national level to be able to get something done.
An important role of City Council is budgeting city financial resources, our revenue. How is it dispersed for all the things and the needs of a city? Do you have any background in budgeting, finance, accounting?
Me first? I lost you. Oh, that's right. I lost track. Sorry. Yes. For 19 years, I worked in property management, and working in property management, and I was responsible for creating and maintaining budgets for multi-housing apartments and all residential. And so every year I had to do my budget. I had to stick to that budget. And I had to work at making, the owners needed to make money. So I had to make sure I was keeping all the apartments full. I was staying within the budget I had planned. Did we have emergencies? Yes. But 19 years experience working on those budgets, working in education, I get to do my input on budgets, on what I need for my programming. So that, 28 years helping work on school budgets.
I don't have exact professional experience with budgets. I do have vast experience working with large cities within the state of California. They were our customers when I was working in Indiana. And what I did had a lot to do with their bottom line, their profit and loss. I analyzed all of their statements that had to do with their electric energy charges. And that I had to make sure that what they were being charged was appropriate, tied in with the legislative tariff that had been set up. So I had to understand and read a tariff. I had to be able to understand and read complex formulas so that I could quickly identify if something was incorrect. That's a huge financial benefit that I was giving to those cities in California. In my personal life, for the last 35, 40 years, I have managed a pretty extensive budget personally, and everybody has a household budget. And I know it doesn't compare to the budget of a city, but it does in the respect that your revenues coming in, your tax dollars coming into the city are a limited amount. We can't just go to you and say we need $10 more from you, 20 more, 30 more. We have a set amount that we anticipate is going to come in, and then it's up to the mayor and the city council to say, how do we best serve our constituents by spending what they've given, trusted to us, that's going to benefit them overall. And a lot of it is prioritizing. If you have 20 things in your personal budget and all of those things put together come out higher in expenses than what you have money coming in, you've got to prioritize and say, okay, this is important, this has to be done, this can be put aside to next year, or maybe we don't need to do that. And balance everything out. I balance my budget to the penny every single month. So I understand the concept of working with the budget, making sure it matches up to the revenue that's available to cover everything that needs to be done. That's really it, prioritizing, making sure that we understand that every little good thing that we want to do is something that the citizens want us to do first of all, and that it's to the benefit of those citizens.
Police station. That has been a big issue for the community. We know it's needed. What are your thoughts about how we accomplish that?
Yeah, the police station building itself, it's old. It was not intended to last a century or 50 years. It has been there long enough. It is not the kind of building that you can simply knock out a few walls and expand and make it bigger and make it fit to what we need today. I agree with that. We need to be careful to make sure that we have a good plan and a good design and a good location in mind, and take it to the citizens and say, we can do this. We have a company, we have several bids in from architects. There's an architect company in Seattle that I know of that has built community buildings in other buildings, city hall, police stations, community centers, and they have come in a lot less than the $12 million that was proposed in that budget. And people were like, $12 million, wow. What, are we building like a castle with this money? What are we building? And I don't think any of us had a real clear direction or idea of exactly what that $12 million was going to be spent on. So the citizens said, no, we don't want that. I, for one, was not saying I don't think we need a police station, because I agree we do need something modern that's going to last a long time. What we don't need is something that's going to cause us to be taxing ourselves and our generations to come to pay off the debt that we incur to do it. Let's look at it and find a reasonable way to build what we need and not spend too much of our money. Look at ways that we can finance it even, if there are ways of financing it that don't require increasing taxes to do so. Yes, I support the police. They serve a great function here. They should have a viable, workable building that they can do their job in and be up to code in all of the requirements that are put onto police stations. We just need to do it in a way that we can afford it.
I think everybody would agree we need a new police station. It's how are we going to get there? I think we can look at opportunities. Is there any type of federal funding, state funding, grants that can assist with that? I think when we are planning, we can't build for what we need today. We have to think about the future. I mean, look how much Ocean Shores has grown in the last few years. I know when the fire station was first built, there was, oh, that is too big. We're never going to need that space. And now, with hiring all our new firemen and paramedics, it's pretty much at capacity now. So I think when we're looking, we have to think about what are our needs, not just now, but looking at the future, and how can we design something that's going to work and be reasonably priced. And look to see what type of funding may be out there and take advantage of that. Because no, we don't, not me, not the current council, not whoever may be on council, anybody running, nobody wants to go, hey, let's raise everybody's taxes and build another police station. No, nobody wants to do that. So we need to look at reasonable ways to be able to fund it and to look at what we need and to have our police chief and our police officers who are involved in that process and citizens who are involved in that process and talking about what we need. Are there current buildings? Could we possibly, and this is something someone brought up to me, where the buildings that we own now, not the current police station, but over on Anchor Avenue, is there a way to modify that and do a police station and build a town hall somewhere else, possibly where the police station is now? That's just one idea I heard from somebody. There's other ideas out there, I'm sure. So I think it's putting together a group of staff and citizens and police officers to work on what the needs are and work on ways we can go about getting that funded.
I promised these candidates we would only do 45 minutes of questions today. I do have more questions here. I'm going to ask one more question. I'm going to ask you to be very brief. Very brief. Waterways. What resources do you think are needed to address the current condition of the waterways? You were last.
First, we need to have a master plan for cleaning up our waterways. We can go for grants, and I think we've both talked about this at every forum. We can go for grants to help with the waterways, but before we can go for the grants, we have to have the master plan and what can be done. And so we have money budgeted to work on that, and I think we move forward. We have done the spraying, which took care of a lot. There is also the harvester, is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. That, to make sure that's working. So there's different options, but I think being part of the conservation district, they can help us go for grants also. but we have to have a plan before we can do anything. I think we need to get that plan going.
From my understanding, the Department of Ecology has guidance for the IAVMP, I believe it's called, for irrigation, for the aquatic, to make sure that is the plan. They've given guidance to cities and municipalities and others on how to write up such a plan. And I know a lot of cities have such a plan in place. Ocean Shores, over the last year or two, has been working on that, and they got that plan back from the Department of Ecology with some redlining and things that need to be addressed and fixed. So there's the plan. The new Waterways Committee, there are a number of new people on the Waterways Committee, and they have been asked to go through that document and use their knowledge, research, whatever, to revise and rewrite or make the document come up to what the Department of Ecology requires. That's my understanding of where we are in the process. So there's a plan that's being written and is not yet ready to go. So yeah, let's get that plan finished. Let's hire a contractor. There's a contractor out there who can come in and use their knowledge and expertise to help us figure out how best to clean our waterways, because they're green right now. It's sad to see all that algae out there. And there are invasive species in the waters. How best to manage getting them cleaned up, getting them back to where they should be, and keep them that way, and let's go forward and keep our waterways clear. They're a big part of what Ocean Shores is all about. The waterways, the canals, the lakes, they're a huge part of our city, and they should be kept clean. They should be cleaned up. And how we fund that? Yeah, there are grants. Our grant writer and the Conservation District, they both have access to the same grants. They can both write for those grants, but we've got to have that document in place. We've got to have our plan in place, and we need citizens' help to get this done. I'm kind of passionate about that too.
Now we're down to the final portion of our forum today, which is the 3-minute closing. And Caroline, you get to do first. And we are timing this one.
Sure, I'm good with that. First of all, I appreciate everybody I see in here today. I really appreciate you being here. You are my people. You are my tribe, as they say. And I look to each one of you, if you elect me to your council, to be a sounding board for me. And if you hear a rumor or think the council is going to do something, come and ask me. Is the council going to do this? So come and ask me. My door is open. My husband, I have my full support of my husband, even though he's physically not able to do everything that I do. I'm very active, involved in my community. I want to hear from you. I want to serve you as a public servant and take care of the city's needs as best I can.
My goal, if I am elected to retain my seat on council, is to continue to work for the people of Ocean Shores, for all of the people of Ocean Shores. I have always been able to listen, to take into account what people are telling me, what their concerns are, and I'll continue to do that. I have people who call me, email me, stop me in the grocery store parking lot, and that's great because I love having those conversations with you. And I do appreciate you all coming today because this is our fourth one, and we've said a lot of the same, but we've also had some different questions we haven't had yet, so that was really nice. I will continue to work for you, the people of Ocean Shores, and move forward and keep our city moving forward and making the growth and doing great things for our citizens and for the town.
You both have done fantastic. It has been a grueling 4 forums, and part of it, we kept this one shorter because I have been to some of the others and they have gone on for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and that is really tough for you to be answering questions and for you to be sitting here quietly for that long. So this is why we chose to do the format that way today. I know there are some of you that are not happy because your question wasn't asked. The candidates will stay here for a while afterwards to answer those questions for you. So you will get answers today. That's the other reason that we were able to start the forum and watch our time much more carefully. Our next forum will be at 3 o'clock this afternoon. It will be Richard Wills for position 6. So I hope that you do come back. This gives you a break to talk to these candidates and also to get a little break, maybe go get a little lunch, whatever, stretch your legs. And we will see you back here hopefully at 3 o'clock, and we want more questions. This is great.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.